Good day, everyone. I'm 𝕔𝕒𝕝𝕒𝕒𝕕𝕤 from BS Ed 1C. Today, I was tasked to report about the continuation and the last part of the Chapter 2, which is the titled Childhood Years in Calamba. So we have three subtitles to tackle. First is the Rizal as boy magician. Second is the Lakeshore Reveries. And the last is the influences on the hero's boyhood. To begin with, let's talk about the life of Rizal as boy magician. Magician, from the root word magic, which is the use of means such as charms or spells, believed to have supernatural power over natural forces and an extraordinary power. So you might ask, why do kids like magic tricks? Besides keeping them entertained, magic helps kids develop their fine motor skills, memory, logical and critical thinking, and social skills. It can also build self-confidence, requires few supplies, and most of all, it's fun. No wonder why since early manhood, Rizal had been interested in magician. With his dexterous hands, he learned various tricks such as making a coin appear and disappear in his finger, and making a handkerchief vanish in thin air. And also, he entertained his town folks with magic lantern exhibitions, and this consisted of an ordinary lamp casting its shadow on a white screen. He twisted his supple fingers into fantastic shapes, making their enlarged shadows on the screen resemble certain animals and persons. He also gained skill in manipulating marionettes or the puppet show. In later years, when he attained manhood, he continued his keen predilection for magic. He read many books on magic and attended the performances of the famous magicians of the world. Yes, we knew all of this because in his novel 𝕒𝕒𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤 or Treason in chapter 17 and 18, he revealed his wide knowledge about magic. So now, let's talk about the Lakeshore Reveries, or daydreaming of Rizal in the lakeshore town of Calamba. During twilight hours of summertime, Rizal and Usman, his dog, shore of 𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤, meditate on the sad conditions of his oppressed people. I spent many hours for my childhood down on the shore of the lake Laguna Bay. I was thinking of what was beyond. I was dreaming of what might be over on the other side's waves. Almost every day in our town, we saw Guardia Civil Lieutenant canning and injuring some unarmed and inoffensive villagers. The villagers' only fault was that, while at the distance, he had not taken off his hat and he made his bow. The alcalde treated the poor villagers in the same way whenever he visited us. We saw no restraint put upon brutality. Acts of violence and other excesses were committed daily. I asked myself if in the lands which lay across the lake, the people live in the same way. I wonder if they tortured any countryman with hard and cruel whips merely on suspicion. Did they dare respect the home? Or ever yonder also, in order to live in peace, would one have to bribe tyrants? So as he became a man, he wrote to his friend named Mariano Ponce that the fact that young as he was, he is already awakened to the unhappy situation of his fatherland, and was determined to fight these injustices, to avenge the many victims of these misdeeds. This being the idea in his mind, he studied, and it can be seen in all his writings, that someday God will give him the opportunity to fulfill his promise. So now, let's proceed to our last designated topic, the influences on the hero's boyhood. Rizal was born on June 19, 1861. And on that night, Rizal was not the only one born in Calamba, and even in the whole country. So why is it that out of all these children, only Rizal rose to fame and greatness? As we all know, other people's thoughts and behaviors influence us. The people with whom we surround ourselves affect our potential. So when we surround ourselves with strong, high achievers with good character, we are more likely to become just like them. Looking back at the life story of our greatest hero, we can see that Jose Rizal was indeed the chosen one and the most unique among all. He grew up in a place and in an environment full of unique influences. Those influences made him a great hero of the Philippines. Among these factors that influence him are the hereditary influence, environmental influence, and the aid of divine providence. Including the ancestry of Rizal was a mixture of different races and cultures. Among these are Malayan, Chinese, Spanish, Negrito, Indonesian, and even Japanese. Proceed to the first influences. First is the hereditary influence. A person inherits from his ancestors and parents. Therefore, Rizal inherited a lot of good qualities from his first is the Malayan ancestor. Rizal evidently inherited his love for freedom, his innate desire to travel, and his indomitable courage. And he derived his serious nature, frugality, patience, and love for children from his Chinese ancestor. From his Spanish ancestor, he got his elegance bearing, sensitivity to insult, and gallantry to ladies. He inherited from his father the quality of sense of self-respect, love for work, and the habit of independent thinking. While his mother was the one who opened the heart and eyes of Rizal to the kind of world around him. Being religious in nature, a spirit of self-sacrifice, and the passion for arts and literature are the traits that he got, and these characteristics are seen throughout Rizal's life. In addition, the environmental influence, according to psychologists, the environment as well as heredity affects the nature of a person, includes the places, associates, and events. The scenic beauty of Calamba and the beautiful garden of the Rizal family stimulated the inborn artistic and literary talents of the young boy Jose Rizal. The religious atmosphere at his home fortified his religious nature. Even his brother named Pasiano imprinted in his mind the love for justice and freedom, while he learned in his sister to be courteous and kind to women. In fact, Rizal's love life was rich. He met different girls coming from different races and culture. Among them are Segunda Katigbak, Leonor Valenzuela, Leonor Rivera, Consuelo Ortiga, Osei San, Gertrude Beckett, Nelly Bustid, Suzanne Jacobe, and Josephine Bracken. And the last girl that he wanted to marry was the 18-year-old petite girl named Josephine Bracken. His aya, known as nursemaid or yaya, introduced the fairy tales to him. That's why his early childhood awakened the interest in folklore and legends. In addition, there were 3 uncles who played a great part in the early education and character development of Rizal. Among them are Uncle Gregorio, Uncle Jose, and Uncle Manuel. Uncle Gregorio was a lover of books. He instilled into the mind of his precocious nephew a great love for the books. He taught him to work hard, to think for himself, and to observe life keenly. On the other hand, Uncle Jose, who had been educated at the Calcutta, India, was the youngest brother of Donna Chedora. He encouraged his nephew to master painting, sketching, and sculpting. Furthermore, Uncle Manuel was a big, strong, and husky man. He looked after the physical training of his sickly and weak nephew. He encouraged young Rizal to learn swimming, fencing, wrestling, and other sports so that in later years, Rizal's frail body acquired agility, endurance, and strength. About the death of Concha on 1865 and the imprisonment of his mother in 1871 to 1874 were obviously strengthened his character. Furthermore, the aid of the divine providence had the most significant impact on the totality of Jose Rizal's character. When we say aid of divine providence, in Lutheran theology, divine providence refers to God's preservation of creation, His cooperation with everything that happens, and His guiding of the universe. Dr. Gregorio F. Saide and Sonia M. Saide, in their book titled The Life, Works, and Writings of a Genius, Writer, Scientist, and National Hero, stated the following excerpt: "Greater than heredity and environment in the fate of man is the aid of divine providence. A person may have everything in life, brains, wealthy, and power. But without the aid of divine providence, he cannot attain greatness in the annals of the nation. God endowed him with versatile gifts of a genius, vibrant spirit of nationalistic, and valiant heart of a noble cause. No matter how powerful a person is, God still owns everything, for He is the creator of the universe. No matter how genius, rich, or physically attractive the person is, God can still destroy them, for He is the owner of every creation in this universe." Eventually, Rizal was providentially destined to be the pride and the glory of the Filipino people. God had endowed him with the versatile talents of a rare genius, the unsurpassed spirit of nationalism, and the valiant heart to sacrifice himself for a noble cause. He gave us this particular genius and hero during the darkest period of our history in order that our suffering people might be emancipated from Spanish tyranny.